Kahlil Gibran writes in The Prophet, "Beauty is eternity staring at itself in the mirror, but you are eternity and you are the mirror." Greetings, dear readers. I'm in Santa Monica Pier in Los Angeles. Check it out. It's a beautiful day. 26 degrees in November. Can you believe it? People everywhere. Everywhere there's life. And I thought to myself, no better place to record an introductory video for my channel. If you're new here, my name is L.S. Thomas. I guess that's my pen name. Feel free to call me Thomas. I'm a traveling writer. I like writing poems for people on my typewriter. Nimbus. I thought I would just do like a Q&A kind of video, just so you can get to know a bit about how I think and what I do. So I asked my partner Joanne, to send me a list of 5 questions so that it isn't too long of a video. So let's get into it. First question is, what is the first form of literature that inspired you to start writing? I would have to say Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. Hunter S. Thompson was an American writer and journalist who was the pioneer of the gonzo journalism movement, where instead of being an observer, he inserts himself into the story that he's trying to write. So he was assigned to cover a race in Las Vegas, but once he went there and actually started covering it, it was a bike race and it was in the desert, so every time the bikes would go start the race, it would kick up so much dust that visibility was 0. And so he decides to turn the whole trip into an experiment to the central artery of the American dream, and he basically does an ungodly amount of drugs and documents his adventures in this book. That book inspired me because of the way it was written. Hunter writes so unabashedly, confidently, unapologetically, differently than any other writing I had read before then. I think I picked it up when I was around 21, 22. Incidentally, the movie Fear and Loathing, portrayed by Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro, is a really great movie to watch. Everything about it is perfect. Other than that book, I would say obviously myriad of different writers like Dostoevsky and the Greek writer Nikos Kazantzakis were a big inspiration. So yeah, once I saw that different sort of writing is possible through Hunter is when I kind of started my journey into literature. Next question. Do I perform or keep any form of ritual or routine before I start writing? The answer to that is yes. Before I start any writing endeavor, I have a ritual that I follow. And this is advice I took from Steven Pressfield in his book The War of Art, where he invokes the muse. The Greeks had a concept of the muse as the eternal source of creativity. So people like Socrates would have like a muse, even like a daemon, that would be the source of his creativity. And it's metaphysical. There's no basis for fact. But when I invoke the muse, I read the poem at the start of Homer's Odyssey, called Invocations of the Muse, which basically goes like, "O divine poesy, goddess daughter of Zeus, sustain for me this song, the weirdest mighty man." And it's basically encapsulate the whole Odyssey in a single poem of maybe a dozen verses. It ends in a beautiful way. Guide me through all its many bearings, O Muse. Um, I've done that so many times now, it's become kind of like a trigger for me to get into a more creative space. Other than that, I also try and say a prayer for the deceased, which is something that I took from Dostoevsky's Brother Karamazov, where the seminarian character, the head seminarian, on his deathbed is giving advice to Alyosha and the people of this monastery. And he says that every day you should say a prayer for the dead, because how many dead souls have not a single person to pray for them? And at the depths of despair, when they think their soul is going to be lost forever, maybe that one prayer will absolve them and carry their souls to a better place. Again, this is all metaphysical, it's all spiritual, but something about it makes me feel better. Pascal's wager, you never know. So that's my ritual. I invoke the muse and I say a little prayer. I'm ready to write. Incidentally, if you're interested, you should check out A Day in the Life of Hunter S. Thompson. It's a beautiful timeline of the crazy life that he led before writing his ritual, I guess. Never follow that, you will die, but it's interesting to read. Next question. How many poems have I written for people so far? Almost 1,000. I do keep track of every time I write. Yeah. Incidentally, my goal, hopefully one day, is to break the Guinness World Record of most poems written by a single individual in the history of humanity. Currently, it's around 6,000. I've written 1,000 in like a year, so as long as I keep going, I should get there. Fourth question. From all the people you wrote for, who left a great impression on you? It's kind of a leading question by Jojo because she knows that she's the person I've written most for, but that seems like such an obvious answer. I always recall the first person I ever wrote for when I set out and started a literary vagabond. This was about just over a year ago in Edmonton, Alberta. And without a hope and a prayer, I took a typewriter out to a sidewalk, set up, just to see what would happen. Well, the first person to come and sit with me was a homeless man with a Bible in his hand. And he told me about his life story, how his path into homelessness, how he'd gone from shelter to shelter, and how he had finally found Jesus, and it sort of gave him a new meaning in life. I grew up in a very religious family, so things of that nature do have an impact on me. Religious art and religious literature, and more towards the spiritual side, I think are profoundly powerful. So for me, it was really a symbolic moment where what it could have been any Joe that came to sit with me, but it had to be this person. It's something I'll never forget. A beautiful interaction after I gave him the poem. He left and he actually came back with a sort of artistic poem that he created by taping words cut out from like a newspaper onto a piece of paper, and he created a poem and gave it to me. Something I still carry to this day. Last question. What got you to start all this, and are you going to keep doing this? Why? Okay. What got me to start all this? In my early 20s, I was in a different path altogether. I was in the financial industry. I was stuck in a job that I really hated, and I was looking for a way out. And I was lucky enough to see other people doing this online. People like Olivia Poetess in England and companies like Poesy in Toronto. I saw that people are doing this in other places, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. At that point, I'd already started writing poetry, but only for my partner. So I'd write her some poems, and she would really like it, and I would really fall in love with the process of writing poetry. So I thought to myself, hey, no one does this in Edmonton. This is something I should try, you know? I should at least try something. So I did. And yeah, like I said, just over a year ago I started, and in Edmonton, and now I'm in Los Angeles writing by the beach. So take risks, try different things. It may change your life forever. Literary Vagabond has, absolutely. Why am I gonna keep doing this? Simply because once I was lost and I found the way. And the way is the words and the poetry. So, Bukowski says, find what you love and let it kill you. That's exactly what I plan to do. I'll end, since I'm working, I guess it's appropriate, I'll end by another quote by Gibran, where he says in The Prophet that when you work, your heart is like a flute through which the whispering of the hours turns to music. Thank you. Bye everyone.